Okay, so what I'm going to do, starting on page 413, I'm going to click on cell A5, and you always know you're on the correct cell when you see the green bar or border around the cell. And we have some products here I'm going to type in. The first is a computer system. Now if you press the enter key, Excel will go down one cell. Then I can put in a color laser printer. And I'll press enter again. A filing cabinet. And I'll press enter again. A desk chair. And I press enter. A solid oak computer desk. No, we're going to go through and put everything in. We're going to do the whole thing together, including the prices. 27-inch monitor. And I'll press enter again. Now I'm going to make this a little bit easier to read. You can see that our products are bleeding over into the code column. You still could enter information into these cells, but then you wouldn't be able to see all of the products. If I take the mouse and hover it in between the A and B column, does everybody see the black line with the two black arrows facing away from each other? I can drag and make this line show me all of the products here. So I'll do that again. I click on when I see the two arrows and hold the left mouse button, and I'm going to drag it until it's slightly larger than solid oak computer desk. And I'm going to press the save button. Now if you're not sure where your document is saved, click the file option, and right here you should see it say the H drive if you've successfully saved it on the H drive. If you haven't, use the save as option and change the location to the H drive so you don't lose any of your information that we're typing in. I'm going to give a code of 101 to this product so it has a unique ID. I'm going to hold down the control key and press enter. Everybody see that small green box right there, right in the corner? That's called the fill handle. And if I click when I see the black cross, I can drag down and Excel will automatically fill in and copy the previous cell. Now, the problem with this is we really don't want the code to be identical. So there's a small option for AutoFill right here. And if I click that small arrow pointed downward, I can change it to a fill series. And now it's made the code unique for each of those items that we have. I'm going to click save again. A little paranoid, but probably a good idea. So I'm on page 415. And I'm going to enter in the price of $400 for the computer system. And I'll press enter. $457.70 for the color laser printer. $68.75 for the filing cabinet. The desk chair is going for $75. The solid oak computer desk for $700. And the 27-inch monitor for $195, which sounds like a pretty good deal. Now, the markup rate, I'm going to change right now. They have us do it later, but it's easier to read if we change it now. If I move the mouse between the D and E columns and I double click, it will automatically make this column the size of the widest text. I can do the same thing for E and F. If I double click, it will automatically make the column wider. I'll double click this one, and I'm going to double click this last one, profit margin. Then I'll hit save again. Now, the markup rate is actually a percentage, and we will have it display as a percentage later. For right now, I'm going to put in 0.5 for the markup rate on computer system, 0.75 for the color laser, 0.905 for the filing cabinet, a 100% markup for the desk chair, and the solid oak cabinet is almost a 200% markup, or 1.857, and the monitor is 0.835. So the markup basically represents the additional money that the company is going to charge over the cost. I'm going to hit save again. And on page 416 in cell A2, I'm going to enter 9/1/2018 as the date. And we'll format that later and make it all pretty looking. And then we're going to fast forward to page 422. Okay, I need to do some formula work here. So formulas are basically mathematical functions that are automated. And I'm going to go to cell E5 and enter my first formula, and that is on page 422. So I'm going to enter equals C5 multiplied by left parens 1 plus D5, oops, I made a mistake, plus D5 right parens. And you'll notice before I press the enter key, it actually shows me what cells are being used in the making of this formula. So red is D5, blue is C5. I'm going to press enter, and I can now see that the retail price for computer systems is $600. D5. So C5 times 1 plus D5. Now here's the cool thing. If I go to that fill handle where the cross turns black, if I double click the fill handle, it will automatically populate and put the formulas in for me for the rest of the column. So I'm going to do that one more time. Now I could just as easily drag it down, and I'll undo that. But Excel will make a guess for you as to which cells you actually want to put formulas in. If it detects adjacent information, it'll go ahead and create the formulas for you. So it's now made a formula for me for each one of these cells. And you can see that the formula changes depending on which row you're in. So I'm going to press save again. All right, next formula. I'm going to click G5. And I want to compute what the sale price will be after we take this percentage off of the full price. So I'm going to do equals E5 minus E5 times F5, and then a right parenthesis. And you'll notice in this formula, I used lowercase e and f. It doesn't matter because Excel will correct that for me. E5 minus left parenthesis E5 times F5 right parenthesis. And I'm going to press enter again. And I bet you know what I'm going to do next. Now, have you noticed there are literally 3 types of crosses here? So the first one is the white cross, which is used to select cells. The second one is a basic black cross. And then the last one, if I can get it to do it, is what looks like a German cross. For the fill handle, we want to make sure we get the basic black cross. And I'm going to double click again, and it automatically shows me the sale price for all the items that I have. So I'm going to press the save key. And I now have the prices, and if I click each of the cells, I can see the actual formula right here. Now this is an active formula, which means it's thinking I'm going to change the formula and I'm going to type information in. So I'm going to press the escape key so I don't change or injure any of the information there. So, profit margin. You know what the bosses want to know? How much money are we going to be making on this? Because that's what's most important. We need to do a formula for the profit margin as well. And to determine the profit margin, I type in equals, left parens, G5 minus C5, and then the right parenthesis, divided by G5. So a somewhat complicated formula, really not that bad. This is going to give us the profit margin in a percentage form that the company is going to make. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. Everybody who is able to got that formula. I'll press enter. And it's telling me the profit margin on this looks to be about 21.5%. I'm going to click that cell, and you know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to locate the fill handle, and once I see the basic black cross, I will double click it, and it's automatically going to fill in all the percentages for me. Then I'll press save really quick again because I really don't like typing. That's what's good about the fill handle. Now, what they want us to do on page 425, they say, you know what? We're going to change the computer system to $475.50. Excuse me. So the cost of the computers went up. And I'll press enter, which means the retail price has went up, which means the sale price is actually higher now too, isn't it? But our margin is still the same. So that's what the markup rate's all about. Then the retail price. Now we have all of our elements here. I'm going to click save one more time. There's a really cool feature here, and I have to reduce my zoom. I'm going to press the control key, and I believe it's pronounced the grave key, which is the one right below the escape key. So control, and I'm holding it down. Notice now that I'm showing, instead of the total, I'm now showing formulas. So these are the formulas that we've entered so far. I'm going to do the control grave key, and there we go. My screen was a little slow in updating. Now I can see all the numbers here. And we're going to make, let's see, did we make all the changes? We did 475 there. On cell D6, they want us to change the markup rate here to 0.755. And you can see that it does make changes. And on page 426, cell F7. F7, the percentage off, we're going to change to 0.05. We pretty much have everything entered. We are going to add a couple of different items here. And I am now on page 438. So they want us to click on cell H. They say H5, but it really doesn't matter. And I am going to use the insert option here and insert a new column. So now I have a new column here. And we're going to call this one profit amount. I'm going to make that a little bit larger. And we are going to need a formula here. So for my formula, it's actually pretty straightforward. I'm going to type in equals G5 minus C5 and press enter. So this is what executives like to see. What kind of profit are we going to earn when we sell these in dollars? So I'm going to drag the fill handle down and fill in all the fields. We're going to go to row 5. And if I right click, I can insert a brand new row. So I'm going to click on cell A5. I'm going to click bold and type in electronics and press enter. Then I'm going to go to row 8. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert a new row here. I'm going to click the bold option again. And I'm going to call this one furniture and press enter. And save, of course. So now we've got electronics and furniture. Then I'm going to click the column B header. Executives don't care what the code is for their product. They don't need to know. Right. So I'm going to right click it and I will hide it. And you can see there it's showing kind of a gap. So it goes A to C. We still have B there, and we could show it if we need to. We could bring it back. But for the executives, they don't really need to see it. Now, we've already done this, really. We can move this column and change the width. Wants it to be exactly, I'm not really picky. It says 23 and 166 pixels. As long as you can read everything here, that's what's important. All right. Now they do want us to change row height. On column number 1. So if I wanted to, I could format this particular cell, actually the whole row height. Its current height is 14.8. Now on Macs it's a little bit different. I think it's something like 0.3. It goes in inches. So if I change this to 30 and click OK, there we go. This row becomes slightly larger. Then on the row 8 heading, I'm going to right click and insert a blank row. I'm going to highlight the text here for the 27-inch monitor. So I'm going to click on that cell, and notice I have the white cross. Hold the mouse down. I'm going to take this text here, and I'll press Control X. It's going to cut it. I'm going to go up here to cell A8 and press Control V as in Victor, and it pastes in the monitor, which is really an electronics instrument, right? Then I'm going to highlight the entire desk chair row, and I'm going to copy it with the Control and C keys. And I'm going to go down to A13 and press Control V as in Victor. Now, notice I still have the selection here. I'm going to press the Escape key. I don't need that selected anymore, but I do need to edit desk chair. So I'm going to go up to the formula bar box here and click in front of it and type in executive. And then I'm going to press the tab key. It's a lot more expensive than the basic office chair, so I'm going to change that to 200, and I'll press enter. Now I'm going to skip page 413 just so you know, but if you're curious about copying large segments of text, you'll want to check out that page. So now I've got this set up here, looking pretty good. This is really hard to read. If you were an accountant and you handed this to an executive management team and said, here you go, make your choices, and they looked at that and said, what? This is terrible. I can't read this. They would probably give it back to you and say, no, this isn't good enough. Okay. You do not have to do letter B on page 450 because we did not create that extra range. We didn't make a copy. Now it says select cell, and at first I was confused. I thought it was saying A1 through 11, but it's saying select A1 through I11. Let's see if it'll let me merge and center these cells. In order to do a merge and center, you have to select the cells you want to merge and center. Now I'm going to try cell styles. See if it'll let me do heading 1. Personally, I prefer title. Now I'm going to select cells A2 through I2 since I'm here, and I will merge and center. Then on page 451, I'm going to select cells A4 through I4, and I'm going to do a couple of things here. They want us to click wrap text. So right here in the alignment group, in Mac it doesn't say alignment, but I'm on the Home tab and I'm going to wrap the text. Really? It didn't do anything? Okay. I think the reason is because we have the columns all larger, which is fine. If we didn't, it would make one word appear above the other one. And they want us to center the alignment. So we can center the text. We can also center the alignment and do middle align and center the text. They want us to select bold to make all of these cells bold. And cell, I'm not sure why they're saying A1. Since we have this one centered and aligned, I think I'm going to leave that one as it is. Actually, I guess you could do, right now it's set to be lower. If you do middle align, it makes the text appear perfectly in the middle. Like they say, the devil's in the details. And I'm going to move over to page 452. And they want me to highlight cells A6 through A8 and increase the indent in the alignment group twice. So the indent is right here. Everybody see that? So if I click it twice, it'll indent that group, which makes it look a lot nicer. Then I'm going to select A10 through A13 in my case. It says through A12, but I think that was a mistake because we should have the additional executive desk chair now. I think they might have had us delete the desk chair, but we'll just leave it in. I'm going to indent twice. Then they want us to select range A4 through I4. And using the fill color bucket, I said to click blue accent 1 lighter 80%. And they want us to select range F4 through G12. F4. So I'm going to click and hold the mouse button when I see the white cross. And all the way through to G12, but really in our case it's G13. And we're going to give this a border. the problem I have with borders is it can vary depending on what computer you're on. My border is right here. So they say it's in the font group. And I click that little tiny drop down arrow next to it, and I'm going to select thick outside borders. So you can tell in the meeting this is going to be the big discussion right here. We should do this sale. This will be the sale price, and this will be our profit amount, which we're going to get into. Okay. Now, I'm on step A on the bottom half of page 453, and I'm going to select range C6 through C13. Then I'm going to hold down Control. I'm holding down the Control key, and I'm going to select range E6 through E13. And continuing to hold down the Control key, I'm going to select G6 through H13. So I have 3 ranges selected using the Control key. And in the number group, I'm just going to click that $sign. And it automatically formats these as currency. It's also known as accounting number format. Next, I'm going to click D6. So I'm just going to click that cell. Then I'm going to click and hold. And I'm going to drag all the way down to D13. And they want this one to be the percent style. Typically, accountants like to see at least 1 decimal point on a percentage. So we will increase the decimal point by 1 point. And that was C on page 453. We're going to do the same thing, well, very similar, with range F6 through F13. In this case, we're just going to apply the percentage. And it's a good time to press save. And finally, I'm going to select, I think I missed something here, but we'll get back to that. I6 through 13, and I will apply a percentage, and I will increase the decimal point by 0.1%. And then profit amount is definitely a dollar value. And I don't know if I missed it or what I did wrong, but I'm going to select it now and click the $sign. And I will press save. Looking pretty good, but it could be even better, if you can believe it. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm on page 454. I'm going to select range F6 through F12. And I'm going to click Align Right, which is this button right here. You won't see any change. Then I'm going to increase the indent twice. 1, 2. Okay, now it's nice and centered. I'm going to do the same thing for range I6 through I12. So I'm going to select this range, select right align right, then increase indent once and twice. And I'm going to hit the save icon.